Well, Luke is here virtually, and he has this really exciting accent, and I told him we're all having fish and chips today. And he just didn't, I picked up these words too, and I tried to ask him if I'm using them correctly, but I won't even go there today because he'll laugh at me. But Luke is and I guess we say at the UK, is that right, Luke?
Well, for the moment, until Scotland leaves us, and then it's just going to be England.
Right, so Luke and I, and it's probably been at least 3 years. Luke,
right.
In my searching and looking at things that are coming towards education and away from education and so forth, found BINUP, and it was very, very early in its startup days. And Luke can maybe tell you a little bit of his story, but he's got a really neat vision about mentoring and passion for that in his own life. So we got talking, and this idea of having our students match up with mentors, essentially I call it an eHarmony, and you'll see this eHarmony for mentors, is a big, big, big idea. In other words, if you think of how many alumni do we have? About 20,000 alumni out there serving in various capacities around the world, and you think of our current student population, the almost 3,000 we have, and you think about the impact our alumni can have on students today that are taking their education today. That's a really exciting idea. And of course, we looked at the research. Not a lot of research on that. There's a university up in Washington that had done a specific women in engineering. They brought some alumni in, and they actually looked at it, and it raised a couple points of retention and so forth. So there's some evidence that this is a good thing. This is a powerful thing. And the coolest thing that this happened just actually 2 weeks ago now. I think maybe last week. I get my weeks confused. But we started a pilot with BINUP. We started it this fall. We have 6 alumni from John Deere that we've trained, and we've got a mentoring guide for them. And then we have our honor students, specifically our engineering honor students, that have agreed to be part of this program. And we had our first ever official match of an alumni with a student that has agreed to mentor this student for the foreseeable future. So that's exciting because the goals of this, in fact, Christy and I are meeting with Boeing tomorrow, I think it is, to talk about this next steps with Boeing. So you think about this, and the struggle I had, of course, Luke was always like, well, let's just turn it on, let's just do it. And I'm like, well, wait a second, this is big, who's going to manage, 20,000 alumni coming in, and who's going to manage the students and all of that. And so we actually looked at starting this, and John Deere was gracious enough to give us a grant to fund this and to make this happen. So we're starting small. We're doing some research on it to actually hopefully get published and show that this is efficacious and move it forward. And then we hope to grow this to the entire university, entire alumni. We're meeting with the Alumni Advisory Council here in October when they come to talk through this as well. So we wanted you to have the opportunity to see BINUP, see what Luke's done. It's been fun to watch the growth of where it was 3 years ago, 2 years ago, where it is now. It's exciting to see it grow. And then I want you to have opportunity to meet Luke. So Luke, I'm going to turn it over to you, and if you need anything I've got a little microphone here that we can pass around questions and so forth. So it's all yours.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for the warm introduction. It was really lovely. Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
We take the silence as a yes.
Yes, sorry.
Yes. Brilliant. So, Matthew, would it make sense if I kind of shared the overall vision on kind of what we're doing when it comes to supporting the users, and then also when it comes to supporting the needs on the bigger picture of the administrators, and then kind of walking through the kind of full presentation, and then we can have some questions and answers at the end. Would that work best?
Yes, I think, in fact, I know we've got a camera, but we don't have it turned on for you to see the room, but we have those from our international initiatives group, we've got those from alumni, we've got those advisors, we have faculty, we have deans. So that's kind of the audience you have. So you really have everything from student support to faculty and administration all here listening.
Wonderful. And it would be fair to say that maybe a couple of the individuals in the room, this is going to be their first real contact with BINUP. Would that be correct?
Yeah, so you got head shaking.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. All right, so we'll start from the beginning. So really, all right, for the first part, you won't see anything happen on my monitor. And then once I finish the first part of the introduction, you'll see me kind of walk you through the user experience of your members, and then we'll touch on the user experience of the administrators. So when it comes to BiNUP, there are really two areas that we focus on. So the first area is your students and alumni's experience. So creating this rich online mentoring and networking community that's designed to connect them for career development and personal development opportunities. And then on the back end, our goal is to do all that we can to provide you with the most recent and up-to-date information on your graduates. So this could be contact information, place of employment, and various things of that nature. So when we look at the user experience side, we kind of have two different elements that comprise this area. And the first area is purely around mentoring, and mentoring is the heart of the platform. It's really what drives the user experience. Our goal is to also connect alumni to alumni for mentoring opportunities, but it's definitely, our focus is around connecting students to alumni. In fact, one of the things that we encourage most of the universities to do that we work with is to bring their students to the platform as early as possible. So literally as soon as they join the university. And there's really a couple of reasons for this. So if we look at how jobs are landed at the moment, pretty much 80% of jobs are landed through networking, half of those are through direct introductions. And the issue with this is that most recent graduates tend to leave university. And they tend to have a really small professional network, so it can be quite tricky for them to get those introductions that could potentially lead to their first interviews or even their first jobs. So what we're trying to do, in effect, is create this organic funnel system that connects your students with successful alumni as early as possible, so that by the time they are ready to graduate, those alumni are really invested in them and want to see them do well. So they're more than happy to make those introductions. It could give them that jump start that they need into the professional or even the entrepreneurial world. The second reason why we encourage you to bring your students to the platform as early as possible is due to our integration with various social networks and how we're able to keep you up to date with their latest contact information in place of employment, even in some cases if they forget to let you know that they've updated their information. But I'll touch on this in a greater depth when we look at some of the admin areas. I guess there's also a third reason why we focus heavily on bringing students to the platform, and that's that once your alumni have graduated, they've graduated, and it's really your amount of contact has gone from a daily amount of contact with them to an email exchange every other year or something like that. So what we want to do is we want to take advantage of that contact that you have with them while they're students. So what we do is we provide a sign-in widget, and it's a little bit of code, and you can just and I think as you start to expand the program, this will be something that you'll look into more heavily. But just where students pick up their classes at the end of that process, you can just plug in this little bit of code, and you can just say, you are now eligible to join our online mentoring community. Click here to create your profile. So what this does is we just look for an online bottleneck that your members naturally go through while they're a student, and so they all kind of tend to funnel onto the platform. And this really makes it a lot less labor when it comes to trying to reach out to encourage students to join, because we know how hard it is to encourage students to do anything most of the time. So this really scales that area right there. The second part of the user experience that we focus on is this, excuse me, I've got another cough. I'm back again. Is this part that we call independent of the networking value. And this consists of resources, events, groups, and jobs. And these are those areas right at the very top of the screen up here. And these parts play two very vital roles. The first thing that they do is they create a lot of fresh content. And when you have an online community, one of the most kind of damaging things that happens to the user experience on it is that in some cases it can just look like a stagnant list of names. You look at it and you can't tell if anyone's using it, you can't tell if anything's going on, and so you just don't, it doesn't inspire you to use it. So what we do is through these different areas, there's a lot of fresh content pushed to the platform continuously, so it gives us this real feeling of being alive and that people are using it. The second reason for these areas is that most universities that we work with, they tend to want to drive as many alumni back to engage with the university as possible. Now, there's going to be a decent proportion that, whether it's mentoring someone else who's, was in the same position that they themselves were once in, not quite sure what they wanted to, needed to major in to get to the job that they themselves are in right now. So these things, they're really happy to help others. In fact, they're going to be interested in sometimes finding a mentor for themselves. There's also going to be a proportion that will not necessarily be enough to drive them to re-engage with the university if they haven't been in touch with you maybe 10, 20, or possibly even a longer amount of time. So we have these other areas. So one of them is events. And events is where alumni can come in and they can post things that are going on. So let's say they're launching a website, they've got a public speaking engagement, they've got a career fair. They can come in and post to the events section and use that to drum up interest in the event that they've got going on. We've got the jobs section. This is where alumni, friends of the university, that you approve, administrators, you can put jobs into the system, and they're targeted specifically at your members. And this is really wonderful for alumni because it's free of charge, right? So I'm sure you're going to have many alumni that are self-employed entrepreneurs in human resources. And if you can save them $400, $500 each time during the recruiting process while targeting those jobs specifically to your students and alumni, it's tremendous. I think you've already got a really great platform, and there might be, we didn't really expand on integration, but there could be some potential to integrate existing job boards with a job board and platform here as well. So when it comes to user experience, it's really about creating that rich online environment that encourages your members to use the platform, and then our job on the technology side is to take that initial interest and push your members towards supporting each other when it comes to mentoring. Then when we look at the admin side, there's really one area that we focus on, and that's fresh information. And an issue that some universities face is down the road alumni move, they change their phone number, they change their email address, and sometimes forget to tell the university or college that they're graduating from that they've changed their information. So our idea to solve for this was pretty simple. It was just that maybe in some scenarios we felt that alumni might be more inclined to update their contact information on their favorite social networks, let's say LinkedIn or Facebook, than they would be to tell the universities and colleges that they're graduating from. And this isn't because they don't want to share their data, it's just that they don't think about it, or simply think about it and forget. So what we've done is we've integrated VineUp with both Facebook and LinkedIn. And this really means three things. The first thing it means is it's really easy for your members to create their profile. Literally, they just connect it to their favorite social network. So let's say they're connected to LinkedIn. They'll bring in their image, or bring in their bio, their skills, education, and employment history, and build a very rich profile for them tremendously quickly. The second thing it means is that when they're signed into that favorite social network of theirs, they're also signed into your online community. So it means that they can move easily back and forth between the two without needing to remember multiple passwords and usernames and various things like that. But then on the back end, when they change their place of employment, maybe change their contact information, that can be synchronized to their profile. And in fact, you're going to have alumni on the platform that probably will never actually even need to update their profile on your platform for it to stay up to date. And then, of course, we can take that data from there and export it out of the platform through our API and through CSV download, so you can always have the best data possible on your members. So that's really how the platform works. First, it's about focusing on your students and alumni. And then second, it's about providing you with some wonderful data on the back of that. So that's really the introduction to VineUp. Right, so should we have a look at the platform?
Yes, you're getting
Yes.
All right, so everyone can see my screen okay? This is coming through clearly?
Yes.
Yes, I can see it.
Wonderful. All right, so possibly let's just at the moment you're using you haven't embedded the sign-in widget, is that correct? You've just got it hidden at the moment, just at the kind of the turnitin.vineup.com, is that correct?
Correct, that's how our students and alumni get through.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so if we go to, let's look at St. Andrews. Down the road, you have the option to just take the sign-up widget and embed it into whatever page you want, and then your members can sign in directly from there and go from there. And when they come to the website, they will land on the home page. Now, this home page that I'm going to show you is a little different. It's It's got a couple of things going on here. For a regular user, like a student or alumni, this will be a job search tab right here. So they'll be able to search for jobs by keyword and by location and different things like that. As we look down here on the left, we can see the automated matching. So when your members come into the platform, we look at their expertise, and I'll explain as we go in what expertise is and how it comes into the platform. But expertise basically is the areas that your members say that they can help in, and it's the areas that your members say that they're looking for help in. And then we look at geographically where they're located and start to make some automated matches on the platform. The first thing your members will come across when they come into the platform is this. This is a tour feature, and this just pops up and helps to walk them through some of the areas of the platform. Let's go across to jobs quickly. So, this is an example of a job that's been put into the platform by one of your alumni. Really easy for your members to do. Literally, we only ask for a couple of key areas, but definitely enough information so that alumni and students can find those jobs when they're on the platform. And then we have, jobs all around the world. So we put in about 8 million jobs and about 200,000 internships from around the world. So I'm just going to put something very generic, leave it here. Look at all the accounting jobs in, let's just New York, and then I could say, I just want to find an accounting internship. And then you can get very specific, do we have any, what jobs do we have at Estée Lauder in New York? Yeah, so you can, even one of the good things about this is that even when your members are not putting jobs into the system, we're continuously feeding fresh jobs into the system for them. Now this is a new element that's gone into here, so probably since you last saw the platform, Matthew. You can now decide which resources you want to have be most predominantly displayed in the resource section by just moving them around as the administrator. So resources is pretty great. This is, it's not going to drive usership like people or like jobs, but what it does do is it does drive a lot of fresh content, which is really good for that, giving the platform this feeling of being alive. So there's two kinds of resources you can add. You can add a link, and that kind of works how Facebook and LinkedIn does. It pulls in the image, the description, and puts it into the area down in here. Or you can add a file. So this could be this is an example of just pulling the link in, and then you can just click on it, and it will take you directly out to that resource. Or we've got the files. Now this could be a resume template, a cover letter template, a business plan template. You can put PowerPoint presentations, PDFs, Word documents in here, Excel spreadsheets, and share them all in here for your members to review. I think at the moment you have the tremendously robust mentoring guidelines sitting in here that you can add lots of different things. Then we've got events. Now, if you have an event feed, let's say there's an event, one of the departments at the university use, let's say Eventbrite or something like that. Most of the best event platforms have RSS feeds. They can just continue to use that event platform. You can just put the RSS feed here. They can share all those events into the community so that members of the community have access to them. But then if you want to put events in yourself, or your alumni want to put events in, this is pretty great as well. So we've got some simple things going on here. So if I want to get directions to the event from where I am, excuse me, to where the event is, it plugs in nice and easily with Google Maps, and then we can decide how we're going to get there. It's going to give us the different directions. And then we can go, right, I'd love to attend this event. This looks really great. Let me add it to my calendar. So I can add it to Outlook, Yahoo, Google. I'm going to add it to my Google Calendar. We'll bring in time, date, location, description, and all I do is just hit save. So one of the things that we really focus on at BiNUp is we're not trying to replace a Facebook, we're not trying to replace a LinkedIn. We're trying to create a private mentoring environment that integrates as seamlessly as possible with those communities and networks that your members are already using on a daily basis. Their Facebook, their LinkedIn. You know, we're not trying to replicate their calendar system. We just want to create an environment that they can get events that are really useful to them and funnel them directly into their calendar. And then we've got groups. Again, groups, we've got that ordering functionality here, Matthew, again, so we can move these around and order them depending on what we want to display at the very top of the page. As the administrators, you kind of have the chance to set up the different categories of these groups. This could be alumni chapters, it could be study groups, it could be anything that you'd like it to be. Now, one of the things that's come with the new document sharing functionality is a lovely group here. This would be resume support. This could be a group where members can come in and they can share their resumes, and administrators can see the resumes and leave feedback. Or alumni can leave feedback and different things. And in the background, we're capturing this data. So what we're trying to do, and you'll be able to see this as you go through the admin panel, you'll see where it's coming along. We're going to start to give mentors flags and badges to indicate which mentors are in the top 5 of being most supportive when it comes to helping students with or alumni with their resumes, or which ones are posting the most jobs into the system, which ones are posting the most resources and most events, different things like that. So which are your key community contributors, and if you've got people that are really actively involved in the platform, then they should be recognized as such. And then we've got people, and this is where most of the magic happens. So when I come into here, I can go, right, instead of looking for everyone, because one of the things with the platform, you can come in as a mentor, you can come in as a mentee, you can come in as both, or you can come in as neither. You can just say, I'm just here for networking, I just want to post jobs, or I'm not really interested in helping people as a mentor, and that's fine. You can still come in and create value for users in various other ways, and also, of course, with the administrators, because they're probably going to be connected with your LinkedIn now and be able to stay up to date with your information. But then your members can come in and they go, right, I really want to find people that specifically come on here and say, you know what, I'd love to be a mentor, and I'm absolutely happy to help someone with any kind of expertise I possibly can. So while we did that, this new box pops up called expertise. Now, expertise is very similar to skills, except for there's one major difference. So skills would be something that your members would pull in from their LinkedIn or manually put into their profile. They come across, if you just go here. That would be here. So skills, and these are expertise. So these just refresh that. Right. It always saves your last search. So when you come back to it, it's always got the last one you've done. So it's just skills, and they come in from your LinkedIn and Facebook. Expertise is actually created by the administrator. So this is where you guys have gone, when it comes to mentoring, these are the core elements. We go to settings. These are the core elements that we'd love our members to connect and support each other over. So this is where it is. And you'll be able to add continuously. You can add new expertise that you'd like your members to connect on. And of course you can delete delete the entire list. If there are people being matched over their expertise already, it will tell you. And you still have the option to delete it. But we just give you a heads up just in case you feel that's an issue. So now I'm coming here. I can go here and I can go, well, these are the areas that the platform's designed to connect members with when it comes to mentoring. Let's just go through here. I'm going to click a bunch. All right. Now, once I've done this, we've got two different ways to say this actually. We can say, I'm looking for anyone that can help in at least one of these areas, or I'm looking for people that can help in many of these areas. I'm going to, in all of these areas, I'm looking, at the moment I've set it so that if anyone can help in one of the areas, that's fine. I'm going to continue on here. I can go right. I can search for specific companies that they work at, so maybe, John Deere or something like that. I'll go in, and then I can go in here and say, well, actually, I want to find a mentor that's a specific number of years of experience. And this is really important, because especially not so much when it's student to alumni, but when it's alumni to alumni mentoring going on. You're going to have scenarios where they would, if they don't put this in, they're going to be matched with alumni that are with mentors that said that they're mentors, but they're many years younger than them. Now that can be good in scenarios what we call reverse mentoring, where you might have more senior individuals that are not that tech savvy being mentors by younger individuals that are very tech savvy. But you know, that's it. If that's what they want to do, then they can do that in this area. But this area is really designed for you to, don't hit save on this. Let's go for 8 years of experience. There we go. And we can go through here and we can see the kind of the areas that we've matched in. We can continue along here. You know, one of the things that's very important for me maybe is that I'd like my mentor to be quite close, because, you know, although this is designed to connect people all over the world, I'd love to be able to grab a cup of coffee with my mentor every now and then. And then I can go, right, well, maybe I've still got a lot of positive results here. I might go, well, actually, there were some skills that I was really interested in improving in. They weren't in expertise. We only encourage you to have about 40 to 50 core areas that you want your members to connect in, because they can always find specific skills on LinkedIn. So I can say, well, you know, I'm getting into HTML, and a web development here, and I'd love it if my mentor was skilled in this as well. There we go. So there we have Myla. As we come in here, we've got the jobs and education history. Now, I'm going to go in. I'm going to show you a profile. This looks quite lean, but this can be really rich with information. It just depends how much info they add. We just pop back here. I'm going to remove these couple of fields, and I'm going to show you this profile right here. And this is what it looks like when you have a really nicely built out profile. Sometimes from your LinkedIn, you'll have a lot of information around there, and it'll pull it in. If you haven't put anything in your LinkedIn, then it won't pull in much. But when you build your profile, you can definitely build out a lot of content in there. And this is what it looks like if you have any mentors or mentees. If we pop back to people now. Go down here, and we can see those areas of expertise that Myla has selected from the ones that you created as the administrator. We can see the green areas that we're matched in. See those skills from LinkedIn. Then we've got the social networks here. So we've got that deep integration with LinkedIn and Facebook that pulls the data from those systems into your system. But then we connect very lightly with about 40 to probably could be as many as 60 other social networks. And this is really a link out to your members' social networks. So they've got a YouTube channel, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. You just click on it right here, and it will take you right out to that profile. This is great for them because they can then link to all their different profiles, but it's also good for you as well because then you have a list to all of their favorite social networks that they have profiles on. And then we can see the messaging area. I want to send Myla a private message because we do not share phone numbers and emails on the platform. Your members can if they choose on a case-by-case basis, but we don't provide an environment for them to do that. So in some scenarios, members might be more comfortable just sending messages here. If they're not on the platform at the time that the message was sent, it can turn into a notification, go to their email. The same thing will happen for mentoring requests, approvals, and rejections. And then we've got down here, we've got the report this profile. We've got reporting functionality on pretty much most areas of the platform. It's really deeply ingrained. It's built off the Facebook model, so literally everything can be reported from resources to private messages to profiles and various things like that. And then we've got this big red button, and this can't be seen by any of the users, but it's definitely there for the administrators just in case you need to remove someone's privileges. So let's see what it's like to request an individual for a mentor. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go up here and press this button. There we go. Right. Now I should get requested as a mentor. Don't worry, your users never have to do that. This is just from demo to demo. I keep doing the same thing, so I have to have a magic way to reset. So here we go. And we request Myla as a mentor. This is kind of the content that we provide. If you want, Matthew, I know you haven't mentioned this before, but in the future, if you do want to make a change to this right here, change the text, no trouble at all. Just let us know, and we can change the guidelines for you.
Okay.
And then we've got the different expertise that Mila has said that she can help in from the ones that you created as the administrator. We've got those skills from LinkedIn, so I'm going to take those HTML skills that I was interested in. And then I'm going to take commitment level. So once I submit this, my mentor can approve it, they can reject it, or they can continue to communicate from that point on and decide that maybe it's not right yet, or maybe it's Now, when it comes to interaction, your members are going to communicate in whatever best format suits them. So maybe they'll have messages on here because they don't feel comfortable sharing their information yet. Maybe they'll take it off to email, maybe they'll go to phone, in person. You can't really manage that. But I think our goal is to create these relationships that are actually meaningful and sustainable in a way that suits mentors and mentees both as much as possible. But when it comes to managing the communication between each other in a scalable format that kind of holds everything in one simple location as opposed to having it spread across various platforms, we have the mentoring timeline that's designed to do that. And I'll show you that in a second. Just on the right-hand side, we've got the best practices. This is where your members just go along and find out how to go about developing an effective mentoring relationship. Now, no, this is not as robust as a document that they already have that's existing in the platform that Tony created, but it's kind of a light look into that, I guess. And here we go. We can see when you apply for a mentor, mentors can post achievements and milestones to your timeline. And then we have these little areas here, and these areas are going to, before year's end, these areas are going to improve and change quite considerably. But at the moment, this is where, let's say I'm working on my business plan with my mentor. Once let's say we had breakfast yesterday, my mentor made some suggestions on some changes I should make. Once I've done that, I can post that into here. When I do that, my mentor will get a notification that I've posted. When my mentor comments on that, leaves any comments, I'll get a notification that he's commented. So it allows us to track and manage that progress of the specific skill that we're working on and stay up to date with it in one central location. The next thing that will come into here is when people will be able to share documents, and they can share links in here as well already, but when they share documents and links with each other, let's say templates to things that the mentee should read, links to articles that are really interesting that the mentee should read, and different things like that, what it's going to do is it's actually going to pull that out of the chain of the message. So probably you probably got emails where you have these massive chains of emails with one individual or shared with a group, and you shared lots of documents in there, and then when you go back to review, where was that document we sent, which one was it? You've got several versions of it, and there's a bunch of other documents. It's quite tricky to find out what you're exactly looking for. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make it so whenever your members share a document with each other or a link, it will pull it out of the message and put it really nicely on the right-hand side, so your members will clearly be able to see all the links that have been shared with them, all the documents that have been shared with them, so they can go back and find them easily as they feel fit. So that's really how the kind of user experience works. It's really about understanding these different reasons that would drive alumni to come to the platform, and then creating an environment that's really acceptable for your students to reach out to alumni for mentorship. Where they feel that's why these are mentors, they're here, these alumni are here because they're here to support, because they've clearly stated that. So it's about creating that rich, enjoyable environment, and then on the back end, providing you with some of this great data. So we provide the data in a couple of different raw formats, so it can come out, as we touched on before, in the CSV or the API. But then we have some data for you as well. So this is very high-level information, so we can see that the usage of the platform during given periods of time. We can see the breakdown of mentors, mentees, and those that have said that they're both. We'll see what kind of user are they. And then we can see their graduating year here. And then this is one of the areas that I touched on briefly before. We can see which are your most active users in different areas. So who's posted the most jobs, who's added the most events, who's logged in the most. We need to be able to tell you this, so down the road we can actually assign kind of badges and flags for these different users. It's always good to know which are your champions within your platform. Then you'll find them grow as your platform grows. Then we've got mentoring. The data around mentoring is pretty interesting. So we don't want to just tell you what's going well on the platform. We also want to tell you what's not going too well for your users. Because although the platform's designed to manage itself, sometimes universities really want to also have a little bit of a hands-on element. So we capture things like rejections. It's great to know which mentees have the most mentors, have the most requests. But it's also good to know which ones have been rejected the most. And let's say looking at the top here has sent out 3 requests and has been rejected every single time. Well, this might be an interesting stat for some administrators to have, so that they can reach out to and go, hey, Luke, I see you've had a bit rough requesting mentors. Let's have a look at that email that you're sending through and see if we can help you with that. So you can do different things like that. And then we do the same with mentors. So it's good to see which ones have the most mentees, which ones have the most unanswered requests or answered requests. But this is a good one here as well, and unanswered requests. So if you've got a mentor on there that's not responded to any of their requests, well, it might be an opportunity to reach out to, hey, what can we do to make this easy for you, so that you can respond to your requests, because there are a lot of people looking to connect with you. We can see the companies that your mentors work at, where they are around the world. You can see expertise. So this is that area that you set up, where you go, these are the areas that we'd love our members to connect, and this is where we show you the supply and demand. And then we compare them against each other. So let's say you've said one of the key areas that you're looking for your members to connect is around resume support. Excuse me. Well, if a lot of students and alumni are looking for help in resume support, but no one's really looking to help in that area, you can think about, this is a bit of an issue, and then compensate for it in whatever format you feel best fits. So really the goal of that area is to show the trend of interest amongst your users. Now here we go, this is a heat map. This is a first version of this. Down the road you can imagine it getting far more detailed, but at the moment we kind of give a very high level view of where your members are around the world. So you can, this area here pulls from this right here. So you see how kind of granular this data is. We can tell you how many mentors and mentees are in a specific geographical location. We can imagine that we can do the same when it comes to the heat map. We just haven't done that yet. This is the first version where it's very much at a high level. We show you by country, but it will change over time. And then we've got the content, so we can see which are the most attended events, which are the most spoken about or liked resources, shared resources, which are the most active groups, which jobs have been viewed the most, and then the experimental area. And this is where we look at your members, and we look at which ones potentially could be in the best position to donate. It's quite raw, this area. It's not that strong yet. But as we start to look deeper into partnering with wealth screening companies in this area, we'll be able to give you some really wonderful data. So that's how MyNet works. First, it's about creating this rich online community that supports your members and allows them to kind of take control of their own future, and then on the back end, providing you with some wonderful data. And there we are. I haven't put everyone to sleep.
Sorry, I was talking to the ones back here about ideas, school education. Any questions anyone had? Luke, can you do me a favor and go to latu.binup.com? I think maybe the folks here may recognize some of the names and see some of the happenings with BiNUP here at LaTourneau. It's just the letu.bineup.com. There you go.
From this computer, I can't. We only have. Yeah, I don't think I can get onto your platform from this
Okay.
computer.
Well, I can show folks here, actually. Tommy, you wanna, you can run it for us, but, go to our browser. We just wanna show you what this looks like from Laterno's perspective. I know you've seen spaces and so forth from, BINUP's perspective. It was just letu.binup.com, and I'll probably log in. And you can see it's totally put together to look like a Laterno site, and everything our students and our alumni think, they see BINUP, but they see everything about LETU as a logo and so forth. Let's see if I How many passwords do you have? But you can see Josh, and I apologize, Luke, I know you can't see this, but Josh Lawson is mentoring. I can see the dashboard here for us. Well, let me just show you the people we have here in our own. So we've got, some students. You can see the actual mentors here. We've got Daniel Hawk from John, and these are all John Deere alumni. Our own colleague here, Daniel Hawk. Down here we've got John Wigo. Andrew's been our liaison with John Deere and getting this started. Josh Lawson and Matthew Martin. So you can see this is live. This is happening as we speak. We have our own Laterno alumni and our own Laterno students in this platform. And again, this is just the tool to extend a mentoring relationship between these two groups of folks. So in other words, they don't necessarily do their mentoring in this platform. This is how they get matched up. So if you look at our dashboard here, and I'll go up to the top here if I can make it up to the top, but we go to our dashboard here, you can see, and again, last I looked, we had, we've got 18 members, 9 messages have been sent back and forth. You can see members by type, mentors by graduation year, or members by graduation year. So you can see all those stats, and again, the goal, and Christy and her role, or whoever fills the role, like with the director of alumni, these would all be available to you all to see all this. But just wanted to show it to you in a live Laterno mode. So if you go over here to membership, you can see members using their timeline. We've got Reed's put out requests. He's mentoring one person. Right now we don't have anybody else requesting mentors. Oh, we have one. Or that's a match. That's Josh. Josh and Reed are in a mentoring relationship. So Aaron's been helping. Aaron Keeker with the Honors College has been encouraging students to go in and do a search. And again, this just came up live last week. So that's the thinking here with us, is to get this started in a slow but a meaningful way, so that this can work. Because a lot of it, like Luke said, if you're in social platforms and so forth, and you're just doing all your Twitter and Facebook stuff, you really probably aren't going to come to this platform necessarily. But St. Andrew's story, Luke can say it much better than I can, but St. Andrew's, for example, was using LinkedIn to do some of this. LinkedIn got so big and so many ads, and so that there wasn't enough being able to actually look and see who was in the platform, who was doing that from a institutional perspective. That they're now all on LinkedIn. Is it a couple thousand, Luke, that St. Andrews has now?
Yeah, they've crossed over 2,000. They've been doing really well, and I think the biggest issue that they found, and this has kind of been resonated by other organizations and universities that we speak to with LinkedIn is that it's wonderful that the users are there, but it doesn't create an environment for their mentees to feel that the platform is there to connect them with successful individuals, because so they have 8,000 users, I think, on it, and they sent out several hundred messages, and not one person responded that they'd actually connected with anyone else on LinkedIn. And through the questions that were asked, it seemed overwhelmingly that, well, I'll give you an example, and this is probably the best way to do it, is that if you imagine your university's LinkedIn group, and you go to, you go on there, and then you look in and you find someone that's right at the top of their career in a field that you would really like to be involved in, and then you're not going to pay for connecting to send them a message. So you'll send a connection request. And in that connection request, you send, would you be interested in being my mentor? Now, asking that simple question in a LinkedIn group environment where you know that no one's actually joined that group because they're looking to be a mentor, the anxiety that people feel actually to click that send button, send connection request with that message in it, is enough to stop them from doing it. And that's what seemed to be overwhelmingly the issue. And then, with students, getting the students onto LinkedIn was a nightmare. So it just wouldn't work for that model either. So it's I think LinkedIn is a wonderful partner with us when it comes to feeding data in and creating an environment where your users are already there. But when it comes to creating an environment that etiquette-wise, it creates an environment that encourages members to reach out to more successful individuals for mentoring. That's where St. Andrews really found the value.
Good. One of the things everyone in this room, and I see questions on, sorry, not ignoring. But everyone in this room, you all are welcome to join this. The number one issue that we've seen in this summer as we ramped up this program, what do you think the number one, out of all the things that technology, everything, what do you think the number one constraint that came up with this would have been? Yes. Security is an idea. Everyone's all full of Microsoft.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at a picture right now.
The number one issue was for the mentors realizing that this was actually going to happen and that there was actually going to be time commitment. We actually had, in fact, you can ask Paul Boggs. I sent a long email to Andrew, and I said, Andrew, I get this. If any of you have mentored, it is a time commitment. You have to balance between work and church and family and, going way back. That's why we had 7, we had 6. We had one that just said, I can't do this. That is the hardest thing to get this platform up and running, and that's one of the reasons why we've decided to do it small, because we didn't want to have all these mentors and alumni all excited and put their names in, and all these students all excited, and then nothing happened. And so that's why Aaron's been pushing the Honors College side. I've been asking the John Deere folks to be sure and look at their requests and so forth, to at least have mentorships happening. So within the first week to have one mentorship, that was exciting, because that was a big deal to get to that point, because that mentor really had to understand that they were going to commit time. Now, how much time that is, that's between you and the person you're mentoring. So, but there has to be some commitment. And we actually, Christy and Colleen and Paul and I put together a mentoring guide to actually help that. Some really good questions, exploratory questions and things to really make that easy. So I offer to anyone here, if you would like to join and be a mentor in this pilot, you're welcome to do that. But just consider there's in fact, if you log on, in fact, it's closed, you have to actually request access. So you just go to la2.bindup.com, put your name and so forth in, and then that actually comes to me right now, and then I'll grant you access, and then you can put your profile in, and you'll see the mentoring guide in there. But if you would like to mentor one of our Honors College students at this point, or be available to that, that's open for you all at this point. Leslie.
Okay, so do you individuals have to be on LinkedIn, Facebook,
No.
in order to do it?
No. It's just, it pulls in from those platforms if you have it. I'm the one that I have a unique, that's why I can remember my login. I have a unique login for every platform, because if one gets compromised, then they all get compromised. So
That was my second question, kind of with the LinkedIn and Facebook, if there are issues that happen within those social media, would it impact Vinetup?
If you use your, well, I guess, Luke, the question was if you used your LinkedIn or Facebook to create a profile in Vinetup, if something happened to LinkedIn or Facebook on a compromised situation, I guess if you use the same password, 'cause you still have to create your own password for Vinetup. Is that correct, Luke?
Yeah, so your password that you create on Vinetup is not related to your LinkedIn password. It can be the same if you wish, but it doesn't have to. So you really in effect have two ways to get onto the platform. One is with your username and your password, and one is by hitting connect with LinkedIn or Facebook.
So yeah, they're together, but they're also separate.
Yeah, and if for example something was to happen on, so there's two things that we could imagine happening with a company website that we connect with, right? One is where it goes down, they remove access and different things. So if, let's say, for example, that profile was removed on LinkedIn, well, LinkedIn removed our access to connecting with LinkedIn, that wouldn't affect your data on that user so far today, because everything comes through onto the platform. It's not pulling it from LinkedIn and leaving it in that environment. It's pulling it out. So there's that side. There's also the other side that we sync data every 30 days. So if it's not in real time. So if someone gets their Facebook hacked into and gets content changed around and different things, the odds are that that's going to affect, if they use that platform much at all, the odds that it's going to affect their profile on your platform are quite small, because of how high the traffic is on how many times you go on things like Facebook and LinkedIn. So your data's safe, and I guess that kind of answers your question in a roundabout,
Does that answer your question?
backwards way.
Good. So it's together but not. Someone else had a question? Yes.
Well, first quick question is, what is the followers? Did I miss that?
So hold on, I'll let you ask.
We have mentors listed, we have mentees listed, and what are followers? Is that pulling from LinkedIn?
Yeah. So followers are a little different. So I have a couple things that I can do on the platform. I can post jobs, I can post events, I can add resources, and I can also share my thoughts with the entire community in this area right here. Now, if I am doing that, I have this option in here where I can see, well, I only want to, I don't want to see everyone's thoughts all the time. There's only a couple of mentors that post really wonderful resources or events that are really interesting, that are relevant to me. And you can imagine this when the platform has, hundreds or maybe even thousands of members on it. There would be people that would be adding information to the system that's specifically relevant to different users. Maybe some users might be more into entrepreneurial things, and there's a couple of entrepreneurs on the platform that post links to how to write a business plan, different templates for different things, and so they might want to follow them. And so when they just click their people that they're following, they'll be able to get a feed of all the different things that are being posted by those users that they're following.
It's all separate in this platform only.
Yeah, it's only in this platform. Yeah.
I know we're over time, but any questions? Any other questions?
Just like to say it's really easy to connect. Already did it.
Yes, Charlie.
Is this for global students?
It's it will be for anybody. Right now, we're just in a closed pilot for the John Deere, and then possibly the Boeing, and then the Honors College. So we just wanted to specifically have that focus group to learn from this process, because of the issues of having open it to everybody, and these poor global students or poor mentors getting overwhelmed and all that other kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think Martha and I talked about it for at least the 2 or 3 years, and we just couldn't. In fact, I think we presented to the Alumni Advisory Council 2 years ago, and just couldn't come up with a way to say, okay, it's open, go do it, and see a productive mentoring happening on that. Yes, Gary?
Is there a cost to the university?
There is. This year, John Deere's funding that cost. We hope Boeing does it next year.
So do we.
So do we.
How much is that funding?
It's actually not that expensive. It's a couple $1,000 a year.
Okay, so.
Yeah. It is now for non-maternal universities. So that will make you feel better.
Yeah. Good. Any other questions? Yes, Norm?
It seems like by listing all these skills and expertise is that if I were wanting to use a system like this, I would say, man, I need a website. So I'm going to go on here, I'm going to find some other alumni who knows, us, who knows website development, and I'll just be like accessing
Yeah.
the skill with this. Is that really the goal of this, or is it more like a lifelong mentor that mentors and a lot of things that aren't on the list?
Is this question for me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Basically, we create an environment that will allow your members to derive their own value from it. So whatever they are looking to achieve by connecting with your members in an acceptable format to the other users of the platform, we try to encourage that. So you would have people on here that will try to structure mentoring relationships that just won't end. They won't end. And then you'll have others where it's just like, you know what, I really need, let's just, I'm just working on some, I don't know, and just, let me just go to skills here. Do we have any mentors? I'm having some problems with Microsoft Word. Just need someone with at least 8 years experience in Microsoft Word. There we go. So we could do things like that, right? And that could just be a quick conversation where it's like, hey, this is where I'm getting stuck. And you actually could just give me a little bit of help, jump on a call for 2 minutes or something. It's really whatever your users, however your users can use it to support each other. And then hopefully, but the goal is to create sustainable, lasting mentoring relationships.
Well, good. Well, thank you everyone for coming. Where's Colleen? I think our next Lunch and Learn is October